Welcome to the Tennis Warehouse racket review of the Volkl Vostra 9 305. Volkl updates its 9 Series racket with a new mold and spec profile. At 11.4 ounces strung and with a sub 320 swing weight, the Vostra 9 305 blends stability with maneuverability. In addition to adding a thinner, more flexible beam, Volkl introduces Red Cell technology to this racket. Combining V-Cell carbon fiber with a flexible REVA resin, Red Cell is designed to offer a more elastic construction for enhanced stability, flex, and feel. The Vostra 9 305 also features a 4-points headlight balance, a 100 square inch head size, and a 16 by 19 string pattern. I've long been a fan of player spec Volkl rackets. I love the feel and control they bring to the court. This V9 305, very easy racket to play with. I found it easy to just accelerate through contact and inject pace and spin pretty much at will. So in a rally situation, I could be hitting a steady ball and then suddenly add a little bit more pace and spin just to catch my opponent off guard, either force an error or a short ball for me then to attack. So I had a lot of fun doing that. Feel-wise, I found this a very dampened racket from Volkl. It's a bit muted for my taste, and I did feel a little bit disconnected from it at times, but I was able to find a lot of control on the ball. My volleys were hitting their targets well. Again, it was so light and easy to get under the ball. I could really cut that ball, add a little bit of underspin or side spin on my volleys just to get them away quickly from my opponent. On serve, easy access to pace and spin again. I felt like I was hitting a decently heavy serve with it too. Probably my favorite shot actually with this racket was the serve. And then on returns too, that blend of maneuverability and stability shone through for me. I was able to get it around quickly, add pace and spin when I wanted, but again, just felt a little bit disconnected from where the ball was landing, but it was landing in most of the time. So that was a real positive for me. So a fun play test, just wish it had a little bit more of that classic Volkl feel.
Way back in the day, my racket of choice was the Volkl PowerBridge 9, and this racket, spec-wise, reminds me a lot of that racket that I used to use in terms of the weight, the swing weight, the flex, and even the beam width. The last few generations have gone a bit thicker. This one has gone back to the more thinner beam, and so it was a really easy transition for me to get into this racket. I found that it was very easy to swing and to generate racket head speed with. I was able to hit a lot of topspin on my forehand shots, and even on my serve, I was finding that I was able to hit a pretty effective slice serve with this racket. Also felt like the weight was a nice balance for me. It wasn't too heavy, it wasn't too light. It was enough weight where when I was hitting volleys, it was pretty good at absorbing pace, and I had enough weight there behind the ball to put away shots. So really the issue with me wasn't really with the playability. The one thing I had issue with was with the feel. I know on paper it is not too stiff with the 65 RA. However, I was finding it just to be a bit harsh feeling with off-center hits. I was getting a little bit of buzzing. So I would definitely add an overgrip to help with that. And then I was also playing around with some hybrids, lower tensions and softer polys. Overall, I think this is a good intermediate level racket for players that are wanting a maneuverable racket with plenty of spin. Those were our thoughts on the new Vostra 9 305. Now we're gonna check in with our team in Atlanta. Anna, what are your thoughts?
Thanks, guys. I got a survey saying that after hitting that first ball with this new Volkl Vostra V9 305, I could tell right away this is a very low power frame. Even though I felt connected on my shots, I found myself struggling a little to get that ball past the service line. I really had to step into the ball to keep that ball deep and accelerate through it. And in some occasions, I do tend to find myself overhitting shots, which is why I tend to levitate towards this type of rackets, but I definitely would have liked a little more weight towards the head to get that higher swing weight. Another thing I would like to point out is that even though this Vostra 9 is a 100-inch head size, it almost feels like you're kind of playing with a 98-inch head size. It feels more precise, it feels less powered, it feels a little more control. It's kind of like very similar to other rackets that I've played with and within those specs. And also, even though it's a 100-inch head size, it's a little less forgiving compared to other rackets. One thing I would definitely like to point out is that I felt like the racket was quite maneuverable. It was really easy for me to get into position quickly, and I was really late to hit the balls. One highlight shot for me was definitely my volleys. I was not afraid to step into it with that extra control and really take that ball high and fast and just put the volley away. I really like that part of the game. One thing I'd like to point out is that it's very, from the rackets I've played before or from I'm used to playing, this racket plays very similar to, for example, the Dunlop CX200, the Battle of Pure Strike, and almost like the Blade 98. They all gravitate towards low power, more precision rackets. If I was able to do any modifications to the racket to fit my game a little better, I would probably add a little weight towards the head to make it a little more stable and a little easier on the follow-throughs and be able to keep that ball deep without much effort. I will definitely recommend this racket if you're a player that is looking for low power, precise type of frame and is not afraid to really step into the ball and has great timing.
We just got done testing the new Volco Vostra V8-300 and I actually really enjoyed that playtest, so I was super excited to see how the new Volco Vostra V9-305 performs. Now with the Vostra V8-300, that was a really easy transition to get in court and start playing with. However, I will have to say that the Vostra V9-305, I definitely needed longer adjustment time. Even though the racket has a 100 square inch head size, it mostly honestly felt almost like a 98. It really wasn't that forgiving at all. I actually struggled getting enough power on my shots or spin. So it definitely, that adjustment period lasted a bit longer than usual for me. The racket is definitely not really powerful and I really struggled adding my own pace on the shots, and this was kind of a problem for me because I do like to hit the balls early on and I like to hit them pretty heavy in the court and with a lot of pace. And my problem was that when I tried to do that, the racket felt pretty unstable and I just didn't feel confident enough to play my own game, so I had to adjust my game to match the racket, and that's not really ideal during a playtest. To correct this issue, I would actually like to add a little bit more weight to the racket head just to make it a bit more stable, and also maybe lower the string tension just to get a bit more pop on my shots. One of my favorite shots with this racket was the backhand slice. I really enjoyed just how low I was able to keep the balls and use the pace of my opponent to kind of redirect that. All in all, I think this racket has great potential. I would just like to customize it to fit my game a little bit better. Thank you for watching. We strung up this Volco Vostra V9-305 with Volco Cyclone and V-Square at around 52 pounds. For more information on this racket or any others, please go check out Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only.